Hey everyone, it is Brenda here for Stamplicity, and welcome to What's Up Wednesday. All right, this evening we are going to explore masking, which is a really cool kind of technique in using a specialized masking product, and it's kind of fun, and I want to walk you through on how to use it. So we're gonna have some fun with that this evening. All right. So as people are joining us for this evening, if you are watching now, could you let me know in the comments that my sound is okay? All right. I just want to make sure that everything is okay. And then we are going to get started. All right. Hello, hello, everyone. All right, so we're going to explore, like I said, masking. All right, so there's different masking, and I'm going to call it masking tape or masking sheets out on the market. I have Spellbinders here. This is, I don't want to say it's a new product, but it's a fairly new product. It's probably been out in the last year or two. And I really want to show you how to do this because it's really cool. Every time I show this, it's like that aha moment. And we got some really cool All in Create. No, yeah, All in Create. I'm going to be using stamps from All in Create. And then we also have some really cool stamp sets from Visible Image. All right. So we're going to be playing around with that. All right. So all right, so if you're not familiar with masking sheets, now this pack from Spellbinders has 12 sheets in there. It's like a 5x7 sheet in here. And basically what it is a low tack sticker sheet. All right, that's all I'm going to say. On the front of it, you are going to have a surface that you can stamp on. And then the back is the release sheet that you're going to peel off. So let me just open this up to show you. All right. So it's very thin. All right. I think the worst of it is trying to get the release sheet off because I always struggle with these kind of things, especially when you're live on camera. All right. So can I do this? And I have no nails. Really, it's not this difficult. All right. So let me just flick the corner here. See, I should have done this off camera, but see, it shows you that I am human. Oh my goodness. This really shouldn't be this hard. Stick my tongue out to the left. Maybe that'll help. All right, I think I got it now. Okay, there we go. Sorry, it should not be that hard. All right, so this is the release sheet, the one that says the Spellbinders on there. And then this is what we call the masking sheet. It's very lightweight. It's very much like a piece of copy paper. It's got a matte finish to it, and it's very low tack, all right? And you can reuse this as well. So it comes in a 12 pack in here. And like I said, there's other ones that are on the market. That's just the one I grabbed off our shelf. So, but that's the Spellbinders, 12 sheets in there. All right. So just going to put that to the side. And I'm going to grab a piece of cardstock because we're going to jump right in. All right. So I got my piece of cardstock here. And we're going to start off with this lovely. All right. So what is the purpose of masking? All right. So I'm going to show you a couple of different techniques. So one is you want to mask off your image so that you can do something around it. All right. So in terms of when I use this floral, I'm going to stamp this, but I want to leave that floral white, but I want to do the background in a color. All right. And I could very much stamp this and cut this out, but then it creates a little too much bulk. And if when you cut cardstock, sometimes it's not the easiest to do. So cutting the masking sheet, a lot easier because it is thin and you don't have to be precise on the lines. All right. So I'm going to walk through all this. So what we're going to do on our first sample here is I'm going to stamp this lovely kind of floral here. All right. And then I'm going to mask off the actual floral and then color the background. All right. So, and this is going to be one piece of paper. All right. So I'm going to grab my stamp. I love this stamp. We just got this in. And I was going to do masking this evening anyways. But the fact that this came in made that you get an extra sample tonight. All right. So I'm going to grab my piece of cardstock and I'm going to place it in my stamp platform. Okay. Easy peasy. Now this is just plain white cardstock. This is my Neenah 120 pound or 110 pound. The one that I go to is my go-to. All right, so I'm going to place my floral kind of in the center. All right, making sure my stem is somewhat straight there. All right, and we're going to pick that up with the stamp platform. Sorry, I'm just going to move my table down a little bit. All right, there we go. Okay. Now, because it's a new stamp, I'm going to condition it. So if you're not familiar with that, we have these wonderful little, they look like little erasers. They're conditioning erasers from Altenew. Usually they're twice the size in terms of length. Mine broke in half. It is a pack of 3, and when it's a new stamp, I like to condition it. So basically, when a stamp is in production or after manufacturing production, there's always some type of oily residue on there. This little guy is going to take that off, and you're going to get perfect stamping the first time. Sometimes when you stamp the first time without using the conditioning eraser, it will never stamp properly. You'll get little pits and grooves, and it's so this removes all the kind of residue, oils and such from the manufacturing process. And it just it makes your first stamp image wonderful. All right, so it's a great little tool to have. All right, so I've done that. I'm going to go ahead and stamp. Now I'm using Memento ink, and the reason I'm using Memento ink is because I was doing some projects beforehand, doing some prep work for what I'm going to be showing you tonight, and I used my alcohol ink markers. So Memento is the one to use. But I'm just stamping this on my white cardstock, and I just re-inked this so it's nice and black. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and ink that up, and let's go ahead and stamp that. All right, and I'm going to go over it one more time just to deepen that up. All right, so there is my stamped image. All right, I'm going to leave, I'm just going to take that out. I'm going to leave my stamp there because now I want to stamp that on a masking sheet. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and place a masking sheet in my stamp platform. Again, I'm going to use the plain side. That is the side that I want. And I only really want the floral because that's what I want. I'm going to be using to mask. All right, because we're going to leave the floral on our cardstock white. All right, and then we're going to do a blended background around it. So I'm just going to ink up that, and let's stamp that. Now this does not need to be perfect because we're going to be cutting this out. And I did not position that very well. I could have moved it more into the corner to save some of this masking tape, but all right. So there is my floral. All right. All right, so now what you need to do is you do need to fussy cut this out. And I know a lot of you don't like fussy cutting. I get that. I'm one that doesn't like fussy cutting either. I just don't have the patience for it. But the cool thing about when you cut for masking is that you don't need to be precise, all right? So let me just rough cut that out. So basically you want to cut either right on the black line, all right, or just on the inside of the black line, all right? So so you have a little bit of play on there. So I'm going to kind of try to cut on the inside of that black line. Most of the time I'm going to be on the black line. But basically when you cut this out, you do not want any white space on the edge. All right. So, so I'm just going to quickly cut this out. Now for my further, see, I have a little bit of a white edge on there. So I'm going to go in there and then just trim that off. Okay. So no white edges. All right. I did, for my next few samples, I did do this a step ahead of time, just so that you don't have to sit here and watch me fussy cut. All right. So, do. Da, da. All right. I got no questions. Everything is, sound is good. Everyone is saying so. Excellent. All right. So halfway done. I'm just about there. So this technique that I'm showing you is perfect for people that don't like a lot of dimension on their cards. They like the look of dimension, but they don't want all the foam adhesives and such. Um, I could very well stamp this on my cardstock and then stamp it on another one, cut it out. But like I said, cutting cardstock is sometimes not the easiest because the thickness, you don't get the nice clean edges as like a thin piece of paper. And if you don't get it right, you're going to see it. All right, so there's my fussy cut. You can see I did pretty good, right? So there's that. All right, so what I'm going to do now, here's the hard part, is I'm going to peel the, oh, this is going to come off nicely. I think it is anyways. All right, so I'm going to peel this off. It was starting. There we go. I think it's easier if you start from the back. Why is it the easy tap? There we go. We got it now. All right. Okay, so when you peel the backing off of this, it's always when you're on camera when things go wrong. And this is one of those things. This should not be as difficult as it is. It really has started. Let me get my tweezers here. My fat fingers, I guess. All right, there we go. Okay, so when you pull the backing off, you want to be very careful that you don't rip your image, especially like a floral like this. So I'm just going to gently peel that back. Okay, there we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my little floral here and we're going to match it up to here. All right, so we're just going to like put this in like a puzzle piece. We're just going to fit that in. And this is why I mean you want to cut either on the black line or on the inside, because then the outside edge of the stamped image on the cardstock is, you can see that and gives you that outline. All right, so now I'm going to press that down and it looks like I did nothing. I know that, but really, look. It's there, but I matched it up so well, all right? And that low tack masking tape sticks down nicely, all right? So we've got that on. All right, got that on. Now we're gonna do some inky magic on here. You know me, I love my ink blended backgrounds and such. So let's grab some lovely colors. And again, I'm just pulling from my distress inks because that's what I have here, all right? So what should we do? Let's do some. We want to be dramatic? Do we want to be bright? Let's see what I got here. Hi, Arlene. I missed you today. I heard you were in, but I was in the middle of. Oh, I was in happy hour. That's what I was doing. I was like, I heard you. I'm like, I was doing something really important, but yeah, it was happy hour. Okay, I'm going with my. No, let's do purple. Let's do purple and let's do prize ribbon. Let's do those two colors. Let's go dramatic. All right, prize ribbon. I haven't even opened this one. I think I always want it, but then I use the other one that's very close to it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do some ink blending. So let me grab my brushes. And here we go. I'm going to start. That is not purple. I'm going to start with my purple. Okay, so I'm going to pick it up with my blending brush. And just like we normally do, I am going to just, in rotating motions, I always start off the paper and then start off the paper and then blend on, and then I'm going to blend off, all right? It's going to give you perfect blending. All right, so I'm just going to do this purple in select areas, and I'm going right over my mask, all right? It's stuck on there, all right? So I don't have to worry about that moving. Oop, as I said that, it came up. And see, I didn't even start in the paper. This is why you have to start off your paper, because then you get hard marks like that. Okay, so So there's my purple, and I might come back to that. Let's add some of the blue now. And then I'm going to kind of blend over top of the purple and blend it together. Ooh, that color is really nice, that prize ribbon. All right, so I'm going to add a little bit more of that purple and deepen that up. Now you can do this with any type of blendable ink, and it's up to you. Oxides. I'm just using my Distress inks because that's what I have here. All right, so. Right, Lynn? Sometimes we forget about these great techniques, and that's the reason why. It was funny because I was looking for something. I'm like, I want it more a little technique based. And so when I saw the masking sheets, I was like, oh, and I was supposed to do this last week, but I got carried away with those Crafters Companions. So now you get it this week, which all was good because this stamp set came in today. So all right, so we can continue going on with this. I'm going to build up my background. I'm going to grab this lovely stencil. I thought this was the one I showed today, but it's not. I took another one. This is Nebula Nexus. All right. All in Crate have some really fantastic stencils. This one's a little crazy, but we're going to use it anyways. And I'm just going to do tone on tone, just building up the background. And honestly, you're going to love this. At least I'm going to hope you're going to love this. All right, so let's use this kind of circular a bit here. And I'm going to go over with the blue. And I think I'm just going to grab my magnet here and just hold this down. All right, so let's. Don't have to do the stencil. I just think it's kind of a cool look. Adding texture. And I'm not going really dark with the stencil. I'm just doing a nice little. All right, so you can see that we have just a little bit there. All right, and then let's put a little bit down on the bottom here. I'm going to bring in this one here, and I'm going to switch to purple. All right, so we're just going to do a tone on tone here. All right, so that should be enough. All right, so we've got a little bit of texture there. I think I'm going to put just some purple splotches here just to kind of balance that top area there. All right, perfect. All right, so let me hold that up to the camera. I mean, that was pretty simple, right? Now you can go in with the stamping as well. So there's this really cool stamp here. And again, you don't need to get this techie, but I love adding texture. So for this here, I'm not even going to use a stamp pad. I'm just going to take this stamp. And what I love about these clear stamps is that usually they're sticky enough that they'll stick to your fingers. All right. So I am going to stamp off on this. If I have a piece of scrap paper, there we go. All right, because I don't want this super dark. Again, we're just adding a little bit of texture. All right, so I don't want it too dark. Oop. Okay, so, and let's put one up here. And then maybe one more, right? Work in threes. Let's put one kind of, I'm going to flip this around. And let's put the one here right along the stem of that. Okay, happy with that. I'm going to bring that up to the camera so you can take a look at it. And then we're going to peel off that mask now. All right, so pretty cool background, right? Everything's flat. All right, so now I'm going to grab my tweezers and we're going to peel this back. very carefully because you can reuse these, all right? I always like, if I have a mask, I will then just put it with my stamp set. But take a look at that. Whoa, right? How cool is that? One piece of paper. We don't have to worry about dimension and all that, but that is like just stunning, right? That pop of white in there, and then people go, "How did you do that?" Right? Like, how did you do that? Super fun. All right, so that is just using a mask to do your background and leaving your focal point or whatever you're masking empty, not empty, but with no color. All right. Very stunning, right? Love it. I'm glad I went with the dramatic. Ooh, very cool. Okay. So I'm just going to put this, like, this is still sticky. All right. Still sticky. This is what I love with it. So I always stick that onto my stamp set. Then it's there with it. Okay. So there's number one. Now we're going to take this one step further. And we are going to do another one. But now we're going to do color on color. So I'm going to just start, as I'm talking, I'm just going to get this mask started. See, this one came off really easy. Like, he is just getting it, and then I'm going to get my tweezers. If you have nails, you are not going to have a problem. All right, so this next one here, I'm just going to get this started, and then I'm going to show you the stamp set I'm using. I just ripped that. Okay, so that's started. Okay, the next stamp set I'm going to use is, so we're just going to build up on what I just showed you, which is another one. I can't resist these visible images. I love them. All right, but we're going to use this great big kind of daisy. All right, this great big daisy. So I'm going to grab another piece of cardstock. All right, and we're going to stamp on here. So take this one off. Actually, you know what? We'll do a blended background first on our paper, and then we'll stamp. Okay, so for this one here, because it's going to be a daisy, I am going to do this in yellow. Yellow background. We're going to start. All right, I can't find my squeezed lemonade, so it's going to, I mean, I did find squeezed lemonade and not the other one, but that's okay. Nice pale yellow. All right, so I'm going to just kind of do a blended quick background of yellow on here. We're going to add more color to it, but I want my daisy to be yellow. Now I could stamp my daisy and then go ahead and color it and then mask it, but I like the inky look, so we're just going to do it this way. Now, because I'm doing an inky background, you really want to make sure that your inky background before you put your mask on is dry. All right, so you might need to zap it with your heat tool. Now, distress inks dry fairly quickly, but I'm still going to zap it with my heat tool after I stamp it. All right. All right, so we've got a lovely yellow background. All right, easy peasy. And I could have went in with more yellows and such, but we're going to keep it simple and just do one yellow. Okay, now we're going to stamp our daisy. I got black fingerprints on here because my hands are covered in black ink. Let's see if I can blend that out. One moment, I need to wash these. Okay. Okay, so let's grab our little daisy. And I'm going to, oh, there's script on here. Not that it really matters. You can't read it, but at least I have it upright. So I'm going to stick this somewhat in the top. I'm going to center it left to right. No, I'm going to bring it down a little bit. So I want to leave a little bit of room for my sentiment. Okay. Happy with that. And we'll pick that up. Now I've already conditioned this and stamped this because I did my mask. So I'm good to go in terms of stamping this right now. So I'm going to use the Memento ink again. Again, you can use whatever ink. Normally I would use my VersaFine Clair, but because I had this on my desk, we're using it. All right, let's go ahead and stamp that. And again, I may stamp it a few times because I didn't get it stamped all the way. This is where I should use my little tool, my Stampin' Buddy. All right, look how beautiful that is. Oh, love it. It's stunning the way it is, but we're going to take it up a notch. All right, so there it is. Now I'm going to zap that with the heat tool just to make sure everything is dry. Somebody unplugged my heat tool. And I'm pretty sure that somebody was my husband because his little speaker is being charged. All right. Okay, so that's dry now. So now I'm going to very carefully peel the backing off my mask. Now, this daisy is pretty detailed. We've got all these petals on here. So you want to be gentle when you pull that off. And then it's going to be a little tricky just to line up because there's so much going on here. But usually I find one kind of focal point, and for this one here, it's going to be this kind of petal here. And now as soon as you get that kind of lined up, it should fall right into place. Now I have a camera kind of in the way, so hopefully, oh, I think I did okay. Okay, so once you have that in place, then you're just going to give it a little burnish. All right, so you want to make sure all those kind of tips are down, especially because we've done an inky background. We just want to make sure everything is stuck down. All right. Now we're gonna have fun with the background, all right? So our daisies will remain yellow, but now we're gonna add more color on the background. So I'm gonna go to my go-to colors, the pinks, the oranges, and yellows. All right, so let's bring in the picked raspberry. And right, persimmon. Those were the first two I found. All right, and then we'll have our squeezed lemonade still here as well. Okay. So let's go with our picked raspberry. And I think I'm just going to kind of, what do I want to do? Do I just want to do the outside? Yeah, I think so. I'll just do the outside. We'll do something a little bit different here. I'm just going to hit the outside with the picked raspberry. Now, you're not going to get the true picked raspberry only because it's mixed in with that yellow, all right? So it's going to change the color a little bit, but it's still going to be a pinky color. Okay. So I'm just going to hit the edges. All right, so there's our first color, and I may come back to this and just add a little bit more, but that is my first. All right. All right, now I'm going to go into the right persimmon. And for this one here, instead of starting on the outside of the paper, I'm going to start on my mask and then meet that to the picked raspberry. All right. All right. So there is that. Okay, so I'm just going to go around one more time with the picked raspberry just to deepen up that pink. And then I might take the squeezed lemonade and just go over top of everything because yellow always makes things brighter. All right. Okay. Just about. Okay, so I think I am happy with that. Let me just clean off my craft mat. And then I'm just going to bring that yellow in and just kind of go over top of the whole thing. And it just brightens that kind of and helps with the blend. I love yellow on top of colors. It just helps, especially warm colors. It just helps with the blend. All right. Are we ready for the moment now? It's time to remove the mask. All right, let me just say. You can put the backing on there. I just find it really tricky to get back on there because it tends to curl, Isabella. I just find it easier to put on there. But yeah, to each their own. If you find that is successful, then yeah, definitely. All right, here we go. All right, so I'm just going to very carefully peel this because these petals are delicate. All right. Oh, look at that. Whoa, I love it. All right. I'm gonna bring that up to the camera and let me just put my mask on my sticker sheet there. All right, so take a look. Oh, look how cool that is. And again, it's one sheet, right? We're not adding that extra dimension on there. All right. So what I do want to do is I want to color the center of this here. So you can just go in and do it yourself, but I can show you another way. You can actually go back and use your mask. All right. So I'm going to go ahead, take my scissors. Okay. Now I am going to cut through a petal here. Okay. And then I'm going to very carefully cut the center out. Do, do. Okay. So I've cut the center out. I'm not going to get rid of that because I can still use that. And I'm going to line this up again. Now I'm showing you that it is reusable. All right. So again, we're going to line that up. I find that kind of one kind of petal to line up, and then I can kind of shift everything. Oopsie, that needs to be shifted a little bit more. All right. Okay, I'm not too concerned. I'm actually just concentrating on the middle, so I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, so now we have our petals are masked, all right? But now we're going to color the center, all right? Now we're going to do this in a darker color. We're going to do this, I don't want to do black, but I think I'm going to do hickory smoke. I think black is going to be a little too intense, but maybe not. If I go light enough, can you tell I was really prepared for tonight? Like, one would think I would have all these inks picked out, but okay. I'm gonna have the black. Okay, I'm gonna try with hickory smoke first, see how it looks, and if not, then I will go to the black. All right, so hickory smoke. All right, again, burnish the edges. All right, and now we're going to just go. Now, this worked because I started with a light color, all right? Especially with the light yellow, you're able to layer colors on top of that. So if you're going to do something like this with the multicolored process that I just did, you're going to want to start with light colors, all right? I think I'm okay with the hickory smoke. All right. All right. And it doesn't matter what your mask looks like, right? That it's a mask. All right. So now I'm just going to pull this up. And now the center of my daisy is colored. Hooray, look at that. Yay. All right. Okay, I'm not going to do anything else with this one. I love the look of this. Actually, you know what? I lied. I lied. because I have this stamp set from All in Create. I like the stitching on here. So let's do a little stitched background on here. Oh, will that? No, it will not. Let's do some stitching on here. Now I am going to use my stamp platform for this because, you know, I want it perfect. This one I'm not going to hand stamp. I will probably trim this down too. So I'm going to, yeah, I'm going to trim it down first. One moment. Because I want to put it on a black background. So I'm going to just take 1/8 of an inch off all the sides so that my daisy remains centered. Oh, we're going to put a sentiment too. All right, so then I'm just trimming this panel now down to 4 by 5 1/4. All right, and then I can mount it onto a piece of black cardstock and it will make it pop. All right, so let's do the stitching now and we'll do, where did it go? Here it is. All right, so let's just add a little bit of stitching detail. What else do I got here? I don't want it like all the way around. I'm just going to use these little bits and bobs of them. All right, I think that looks good. All right, so lovely. And then let's do, I gotta make room, make sure I have room for my sentiments. So maybe I'll do this stitching here. And there, all right. And then let's put a sentiment on here and then that one will be done. All right, add a little texture there, love it. Okay, and then this stamp set had a couple of lovely, one is Hello Sunshine and one is Smile. I wanted to use Hello Sunshine, but I didn't give enough room. Oh, maybe I can fit it in there. I can fit it in there. I can do it. All right, so this is just going to go right above that stitching. And the curvature of that, the top of the H is just kind of fitting in between the petals like it was meant to be. Okay, I think that's straight. Going for it. I didn't condition it, but so I don't know if I'll have perfect stamp. Oh, it didn't do too bad. All right, I'm just going to deepen that up. Lovely. All right, again, one piece of paper, pretty cool. All right, and just for you, Isabella, I'm going to splatter it with water because I think it will look cool. All right, so because this is water-based distress ink, it reacts with water, so I'm going to grunge it up a little bit, distress it, and I'm just going to very carefully splatter some water. All right, and I'm just going to zap it with the heat tool to help the drying. And you can see that the water is kind of bleaching out the ink there. I won't dry it all the way, but you can see that. All right, so that was color on color masking. All right, so there we go. Number 2 done. Look at that. Stunning. All right, continuing on. Okay, here's the third way you can use for masking. I'm sure there's more ways, but this is the ones I'm showing you. And I ran out of white cardstock. One moment. Okay, so we are going, let me just trim this down. So now I'm going to show you another way of masking and building up a cluster. This works really well when you want to do a grouping of something like flowers or I don't know, a group. Look at the black ink all over my paper. I won't use that one. Okay, that one's pretty clean. Okay, so on this stamp set here, not this one, the first one. On this stamp set here, all right, there's this little floral here, and that's what I'm going to use, okay? And we're going to create a little cluster. So we're going to have a grouping of florals, and how I'm going to use the masking is that it's going to, this will be my focal one, but then we're going to have ones behind it, all right? It all makes sense when I do it. All right, so it's funny, Isabella, because I will probably put glossy accents on one of these as a finishing touch. So it's funny that you say that. All right, so let's do a landscape card, and I'm going to start with my stamp platform. Let's stick this in here. And I'm just going to kind of place that kind of in the center there. All right. So this is going to be our first one. All right. Going to go ahead and ink this. All right. So there's our first flower. I'm just going to re-ink that. I want to deepen it up. Okay. So there's our first. Now I am going to clean my stamp or wipe it down. And the reason being is just for placement. All right, so I already have my mask for this one. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this on. Where are my tweezers? I'm honestly sticking my tongue out, just trying to get this started. Good thing my face is not on the camera. Goodness. Okay. Very carefully, I'm going to peel this off. I'm going to use my tweezers to help. Again, very delicate. I just don't want to rip my mask, that's all. Okay, so there is this guy, and now we need to line this up. All right, so okay, there is that. All right, so it's stuck down on there. All right, so there is that. And now I'm going to grab my stamp again. I've cleaned it. All right, that's really important. And now let's do one beside it. Now, it looks like I'm stamping right on top of it. I get that, all right? But watch. Watch, everyone. Here we go. Okay, so I've stamped that. I know it looks like a hot mess now. I know it does. All right, I'm going to clean my stamp again, and let's put one on the other side now. Now, I should have stamped a couple of more masks because we could have had a whole cluster of these, but Actually, you know what? If I go down here, I can probably do one up there. Okay. Okay, so there's that one. I'm going to do one more and then we'll peel off the mask and this is all going to make sense. It really will. Okay, everyone. So there's my hot mess of a grouping of florals. Isn't that great? Watch now. I'm going to take this off. This is probably not the best floral to use because of the squiggliness of, oh, I just ripped off a petal. I played, loves me, he loves me not. Um, but because of the nature of this one, but I really want to show you how to do this. All right. So now when I bring this up, you can see that our first flower is the flower that's in the front. And all the other flowers I stamped now are positioned in the back because we masked it off. Does that make sense? All right. So it probably makes better sense now if I go and color this. So I use Mementos. So let's just do a quick coloring with alcohol markers because it's really going to show this. Okay, I'm not going to be really precise on my colors here. I just want to show you once we have color laid down on here. I'm not going to go into shading and such. All right, but once I have color laid down, you're really going to be able to see how this all works or how this all worked. Probably not the best stamp to show you on this, but I wanted to show how you can layer it on, and I just wanted to use the stamp sets that I had here. Okay, so the first one that I did in the yellow here now is our main floral. That was the first one that I stamped. Okay. All right, now I'm going to switch up colors here. And okay, I shouldn't be too concerned about colors here. All right, so now I'm going to do a pink one here. Oh, it got quiet because I'm coloring. I'm concentrating. We always joke about that in classes when we did in-person classes that you'd always get quiet when you ask the participants or students to color. Um, so, all right, I'm going to do another pink floral here. All right. So just making sure I get the right petals colored. All right, and then let's do that last one. Oh, let's do it this lovely blue color. And then hopefully you'll see what I mean about that yellow flower being in the front and all the rest of them are behind. Now, what's cool about this, if you have a floral set that has leaves with it, you can really create a nice cluster with this, and you just build up on your masks. All right, you might have to mask a few florals out, and then you can get your leaves in there, and it can become a very fun and a very cool look. All right, so now I think now that it's colored, I think I think that's how you can see that now. All right. So now you can see those florals and how that first one was our main focal point. We masked that off and then stamped the other ones, and now they look like they're behind. Now I could continue this. I could continue building this, and I may do that off camera. I continue to and fill this whole thing up, and it would be really, really cool. All right. So I might add a few more, but I want to continue on, but hopefully that that makes sense. All right. So it's a really another great way of using masks. All right. So I'll continue that off camera and then build it up, and I'll make sure I have those three colors. Uh-oh, is that the one or is that the one? Uh-oh. I think it's these three. All right, those are the three colors I used, and I'll just continue that. All right, so that is that. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, but let's take it up now and have some fun because we've got these lovely kitty cats and dogs from All in Create. All right, so we have, my desk is such a mess right now. All right, we have this lovely, I took this one home because I have cats. All right, so these ones here were fun. This one's called Mischief Meow. There was part of their new release, which I think we showed last week or the week before. I cannot remember. But we showed you these, and there was 3 dog sets and 3 cats, and they're just, oh my gosh, the looks on their faces, they're just so much fun. All right, so I wanted to use these guys too and do some really fun kind of all in create kind of styles. But I didn't want to do all the cutting. A lot of the design teams from All in Create will actually fussy cut these elements out. But when you have an animal like this that's got the fur and all that, I find it very hard to fussy cut out. And like I said, cutting cardstock sometimes is not the easiest thing. So I'm going to do masking. So I've done 2 here. So let's start with this guy. So this one here, I stamped and I colored it with Copic markers really, really quickly just before we came on as I was cooking dinner. All right. And then I used a die set from All in Create that I've been itching to use. And it is this one here. All right. DI91. It's called Film Drip. I love the kind of distressed, tattered look on the front piece, and then you get this kind of film strip background, which is really cool. And then I love these little splotches and such as well. I think this is a really strong die, and I've been waiting and waiting and waiting to use this. So here I am using it. All right. So I die cut the paper. I stamped Mr. Pussycat, and I just colored it very, very quickly with Copic markers. All right. So what I love about I'm not a colorist. All right. I've been trained on how to use Copic markers, but I do my own thing. Whatever looks good to me, that's what I do. I just slap color on. Now, if you don't have alcohol markers and don't want to do the blending thing, that's fine. You can use regular markers to color it in. I love coloring animals that have fur like this because the texture on the side of it, you don't have to worry about getting color into there. All right, it's you just slap some color on. So even if you weren't markers, you could use watercolor pencils or just pencil crayons with Gamsol. It's going to turn out awesome. These All in Create are easy to color. All right, now they do have some more de- detailed, but I think the stamps really have the detail, and you just have to slap on some colors. So don't get too caught up on the coloring. Okay, so I have Mr. Pussycat here, and I've already stamped on him on masking. On a masking sheet, and we're going to put this right over. So I stamped and then I colored him, and now I'm going to put this mask on him to cover him up. So when you cut something like this where it's got a furry edge, as I call it, I don't cut around the fur. I just kind of do the main line of his body. So if you look at my cat here, you can see I didn't cut the fur out. Even the little fur or the whiskers and such on top of his ears and such, even the whiskers on his face, I didn't cut them out. I just did the main edge. All right. So now we're going to line this up. And when I line it up, you're still going to see all those whiskers and fur still there. All right. But see, it's all there, but I've covered up the main body. All right. So Mr. Pussycat is covered up. All right, now let's just have some fun. Let's have some All in Create fun. All in Create, when you see samples with them, they do a lot of inking. They use stencils, they use stamps to really create backgrounds and such. So we're going to do that. And Ruby, this is where the splatters are coming in. All right, I did not forget. I saw your comment, so we're going to add some splatters. All right, so I'm not going to be all like nicey nice with colors. We're just going to slap some wonderful colors on here. I'm going to use some brown. I'm going to use some fossilized amber. Ooh, let's do crackling campfire because I've never used this one. It's still brand new. And then let's add a little bit of blue in there. So I think I have my blue here. Let's do prize ribbon. Let's do that color combination. We're getting wonky now, all right? Okay, so let's just add, and I'm just going to do some random blending here. Okay, so we're going to start with adding some blue. All right, and now let's add some yellow. All right, let's try this crackling campfire. Ooh, that's a nice color. I like it. Okay, and now let's add some brown. And I'm blending my colors, right? Where they're meeting, I'm definitely doing that. And you'll get a nice blend, all right? I know I make blending look really easy. I've been told that many times. I have been doing ink blending since, I don't know, for at least 20 years. So I know I make it really look easy, but to get a nice blend, you just have to keep on doing it, all right? And just play. That's all I gotta say is just play, all right? So I'm liking that, but I'm just gonna go back and add a little bit more yellow and help with the kind of the blend. And I want to add a little bit more blue because we just have it in the one spot. So let's add just a little bit more blue, maybe over here, which now is going to be kind of more of a greeny color because we've mixed that. Okay. All right. Inky background. Done. Okay. Now let's do some stenciling on here. So where is my stencil? Okay, we're going to just use this stencil here. I like this kind of crackle look here, so I'm going to just leave it on there. And where's my magnet? Scissors are attached. All right, so I'm going to do this in brown. Oops, that just moved on me. Okay. Oh, I love that. And then let's do a little bit of script in here. And let's do it with the blue. I'm not going to clean off my, I'm not going to pick up any more ink. I'm just going to use what's on my brush. I'm sure there's just enough on there. So we're just going to add a little bit there and a little bit here. And I think we need a little bit something here. So let's do some of the crackle, and we'll do that in the brown again. Again, I'm not going to pick up any more ink. There's probably enough on my brush here that I can do. All right, so lovely. All right, so there we go. Some texture in the background. Love it, love it. All right. So what else can we do? Let's add some stamps now. So there's this kind of, I don't know, clock one here. I'm going to use that. And again, I am going to use my fingers to stamp this. And we're going to stick this kind of here. I'm going to just ground my brown ink. So I don't like using distress inks for stamping. That's just me. I'm going to go in with my VersaFine Clair. All right. And again, I'll probably stamp off. All right. And then I'm just going to, and let's put another one. And I'm going to stamp this kind of right over the cat. All right. So there's that. And let's put a postage stamp here. I'm going to switch out my inks. And let's do, oh, I don't have a dark blue. But I have this tealy color. This will work. Warm breeze. All right. And again, I'm going to stamp off. All right. So let's just stick this. Oh, lovely. Let's do it one more time. And we'll do this one more time as well. And again, I'm going to go over the cat head right here. But again, we have the mask there, so don't worry about it. All right. Okay. Okay, last but not least, let's add some speckles. I have some Dina Gloss Spray in Sky. We'll do that. And then, only because I have it here, Michelle would be so proud of me this evening. Look, I'm like taking stuff that I've learned from her. I got some white gesso as well. So I'm going to do the white gesso, and I'm going to use that whole lid. Let me just. All right. So we're going to just do some. All right, so there's that. Clean off my lid. I'm going to leave that gesso there because I may use it on something else. Okay, and then we are going to do splatters just for you, Ruby. Splatters. Okay, so Dina Walkley, I never use it as a spray because I can't. So I love just doing splatters. And what I love about this is that this dries glossy. All right, that's really, really cool. All right, let me just move this out of the way. Let me clean up my, no, I'm just going to clean up that gesso. Who am I fooling? Let's just clean it up. All right, anything else we've got to add? We'll add the wonderful stuff. All right, I think we're good. So I'm going to peel off my mask now. All right, that poor little kitty cat has been through a lot. Inks, splatters, stamping. But watch this now. Very carefully. Look at that. Sometimes I just amaze myself. All right, take a look. And that's all flat, all right? So you don't have to worry about, now I have a little white halo there, and that's okay. Now, if that really bothers you, you could take your kind of brown brush and you can kind of disguise it, but it actually gives it like a little highlight, which is kind of cool. All right, so there is that. Now, last thing I'm going to add on this guy is I have some black glaze pens here. And I'm going to go in and color his pupils. And that's just going to make them shiny. And he is done. Okay, now to finish this off, let's go ahead and see what I got here. Is there anything good in these? One of a kind. You think I can find that? Because I think this is one of a kind. One of a kind. There it is. Lovely. I'm going to, no, I'm going to glue this flat. I left my glue press again. I do this all the time. What about you guys? Do you, for those that have the glue press, do you ever leave it on your desk without the lid after you're done for days? I do that all the time. But you know what? It always, I just put a pin in it and it always works out. Okay, one of a kind. Everything is flat on here. I love that. Oh my gosh. So there's that. And then what I'm going to do is I am actually going to then cut out the film strip and I'm going to put that on, and I just may die cut some of these splats and such and add it on there for a little bit more texture. But look at that, guys. Look how awesome that is. And again, all flat, one piece of paper because I masked it off, all right? So try the masking, guys. If you have masking in your collection, and I know a lot of you do because it's nothing new, try it out. It's really, really fun to do that. And I'm just going to bring in all my samples. All right. So we've got the one of a kind little kitty cat there. We've got where you can build up a cluster. We've got color on color, and then where we left the focal point white. All right. So this is masking, guys. Oh, I love that kitty cat. He's just so darn cute. All right, so I'm going to leave it at that tonight, everyone. If you have any questions about masking, just, PM me, and we will definitely answer your questions. It's one of those kind of cool little techniques we tend to forget about, but it's just really effective. So that is it for me this evening, everyone. I appreciate your time and your watching, especially for those on the rewatch as well. But that's it for tonight, everyone. Thanks for joining us on What's Up Wednesday. We'll see you next week, 7 p.m. right here.